urban street, New Orleans, filled with people having a good time. Some of them drinking a great local beer, Abita beer. But behind the scenes of partygoers having a good time, there's plenty of hard work to do and many challenges to overcome at the Abita Brewing Company, founded in 1986 and located just north of New Orleans. Specifically, Abita is put to the test day in and day out by a highly aggressive manufacturing environment in which everything is constantly being exposed to many elements, many of which are wet and potentially corrosive. We'll let James Franklin, Abita's plant engineer, tell you more.
Abita has an environment that we basically some days have our own weather systems, overspray literally dripping out from the ceiling. Also on a nice cold day, the purlins themselves will collect condensation and literally start dripping down on the floor as well. So it's really have our own weather system within the interior of the cellar and the bottling line itself.
As might be expected, Abita's own weather system has caused significant problems in the use of metal products that are vulnerable to the high cost of corrosion damage. Corrosive destruction at Abita used to be highly visible in the use of metallic electrical enclosures. James Franklin explains further.
One of the typical things we see that goes wrong with metal enclosures in the beverage industry, any carbon enclosure sooner or later loses its integrity through the paint, through repeated unscrewing of the enclosure, rescrewing it back on. That breaks the paint. We've literally seen enclosures where the paint is intact on the outside of the enclosure and the enclosure is completely corroded within.
The folks at Abita quickly realized that metal enclosures were costing them money in failed products and the resulting downtime.
Yeah, any one of these machines going down can really back up the works in a production facility such as this. If this machine goes down, then we can't run the bottle line. We can't run the bottle line, and we start backing up beer in the bright tanks. It starts backing up the beer within the aging tanks. The aging tanks are going to back it up within the fermentation. The fermentation is not going to allow the brew house to be able to run. So you really can, any single point failure that we have in here can really just gum up the whole work.
As a result of the repeated failure of metallic enclosures, Abita enacted plant-wide specifications to use non-metallic enclosures in all areas. For the solution to the problems of corrosion, Abita selected Stahlin non-metallic enclosures, manufacturer of the world's most frequently specified fiberglass electrical enclosure products. James Franklin explains why.
The obvious advantage of having the non-metallic enclosures is that, again, they're not going to corrode. They're going to be able to take any water that's being sprayed on them, dripped on them, splashed on them, beer for that matter, corrosive chemicals, chlorine dioxide solutions, caustic acids, and the such that we spray around here on a normal daily basis.
In this series of actions, you'll see firsthand the benefits of Abita's decision to replace metal enclosures with Stahlin non-metallic enclosures. Here we see James beginning the laborious process of disassembling a metal electrical enclosure that has corroded at a high rate. Remember, Abita depends on the longevity of enclosures that are NEMA 4X construction because of water, caustics, acid, and bleach that are regularly used during cleaning procedures. If there is any doubt that this metal enclosure has failed, James conducts a simple test using a $100 bill. The bill slips easily through the cover seal, proving that protection from the gasket has completely failed. In the following clips, you'll see the relative difficulty James has in removing the old metal enclosure because of its significant corrosion.
One thing we like is the tight gasket seals on all of these enclosures. Obviously, we've got water dripping from overhead. We've got water being sprayed, dust, mold as well. And these are things that we don't want to get within the electrical enclosure. And so the gaskets are fitting very tight on these enclosures. And putting in a metal enclosure within the food industry, to me, doesn't make any sense at all. You're going to pay through the nose for a stainless enclosure, and then you're going to pay through the nose for the labor of being able to work holes into the thing in the first place. And in the carbon, sooner or later, you're going to have to change it. So that's wasted money of having to be able to purchase the carbon in the first place and then having to go back and purchase the non-metallic to replace it, and the labor, the downtime associated with that.
Here now, James is seen installing the new corrosion-resistant Stahlin non-metallic enclosure. In addition to beating the destruction of rust, non-metallics are lighter, are easier to modify. Windows, holes, and vents can be created or modified using only readily available conventional shop tools. That means less cost in shipping and reduced labor costs for reliable installation.
I like using non-metallic enclosures because they drill easily, they knock out easily, they're easily able to be worked with a file or a jigsaw, and also that they're lighter than metallic enclosures and just overall easier to install and to work with. One of the customized enclosures that we got from Stahlin was a enclosure for our chart recorder, in which we needed a window made up of a fairly good size, as well as a dead front, as well as a back panel enclosed in it as well. And they were able to do that in a pretty nasty environment right near the filler where a lot of water is being sprayed, and we've had nothing but good results, and no water egress or any contaminant egress of any kind.
The challenges are clear. Abita Brewery is a great proving ground for many products, especially electrical enclosures. The results are equally clear. Because of these environmental conditions, Abita has within the past 7 years used or replaced metal enclosures with more than 50 Stahlin fiberglass enclosures. For James Franklin and Abita, Stahlin non-metallic enclosures were an easy choice.
The reason why we're using the Stahlin non-metallics is that they're competitively priced, they're easy to work, they have a good availability through the distribution network that we get them from, and in the event the distributor does not have it, that there's a good supply within the factory, and they're able to modify the enclosures and turn them around in a very quick time for us. The benefits of using the non-metallic enclosure is that I can put it up once, and that's it. I can install it and forget it.
And so, as aficionados of great beer enjoy Abita Brew, Abita Brewing Company has increased its efficiency by realizing that low cost, workability, durability, and peak performance make non-metallic enclosures as a replacement for metal within Abita's wet, corrosive environment a no-brainer. With non-metallic enclosures, you can install them and forget them, secure in the knowledge that sensitive controls, instrumentation, and electrical connections will be reliably protected from damage by moisture and corrosion. Stahlin non-metallic enclosures. The right product, the right price, right now.